You open the door and come home. Your dog hears the sound and immediately comes running, tail wagging. You might think this is normal. That's just what dogs do. But for 99% of human history, in a world with no lights and no fences, this kind of normal did not exist. When humans first met dogs, what actually changed? The answer didn't just change the fate of dogs. It also shocked a lot of people. More and more evidence is now overturning everything we thought we knew about dogs. To really understand this, we have to go back to about 40,000 years ago. What you see today in dogs, their love and loyalty toward humans, would have been, in the eyes of your ancestors, a completely unrecognizable behavioral anomaly. When early humans were shivering around the fire, the wild wolves circling the edge of their camps were nothing like today's tail-wagging pets. They were rulers of nature. They had cold amber eyes, jaws that could crush bone, and absolute caution toward humans. In the rules of nature, fear and hostility toward anything unfamiliar was the only way to survive. But in a very small window of time, some wolves began to act wrong. They didn't keep distance like the others, and they didn't respond with aggression in conflict. Instead, they came closer to humans, stayed, observed, and sometimes waited for food. These wolves survived at the edges. They didn't trigger conflict, they didn't trigger attacks, and it didn't force humans into a defensive reaction. Modern genetic research shows this is strangely similar to a very rare condition in humans, Williams syndrome. In that state, humans lose their natural social boundaries and show an unusually high level of trust and friendliness towards strangers. Our ancestors quickly realized that these wolves could coexist with humans more easily. So a selection process lasting tens of thousands of years began. Humans kept the wolves that were least afraid of them, the ones that were most eager to wag their tails, and the ones that looked at humans with submissive, almost flattering eyes were the ones allowed to reproduce. So, was this how wolves were domesticated by humans? No. During that long stretch of time, only a small number of gray wolves changed. They broke away from the structure of the wolf pack and became the earliest proto-dogs. But no one expected this. Humans were changing too. In a world without dogs, human survival depended entirely on themselves. You had to smell the prey, judge the wind, your body was the whole intelligence system. But when dogs entered this system, everything started to change. Their nose could pick up the faintest scent traces in the air. Their ears could catch sound changes far beyond human range. Their bodies would tense up before danger even arrived. And humans did something extremely unnatural. Instead of strengthening themselves, they started trusting the dog's reaction. Archaeologists found huge amounts of large animal bones at Homo Sapiens sites. This suggests groups with dog cooperation gained multiple times more energy returns. When Homo sapiens outsourced survival safety to another species, their bodies also began to change in a different way. Modern neuroscience shows that human reliance on smell and hearing has been decreasing. Our ancestors reduced their wild instincts in exchange for civilization safety. And this exchange directly changed the direction of history. When Homo sapiens moved into Eurasia with dogs, they were not only facing the environment, but a completely different competitive system. Neanderthals were stronger, more cold-resistant, their bodies almost designed for the Ice Age. But they were an isolated species. They had to rely on their own eyes, ears, and experience to understand the world. But Homo sapiens were different. By cooperating with dogs, danger was already being responded to before it even got close. Over time, things changed. What decided victory was no longer just physical strength. If dogs were just a tool for humans, then they should be like horses, cattle, or camels. They would help humans work and nothing more. But that is not what happened. You may have seen these kinds of photos. A bearded man sitting next to a shaggy dog. A quiet, introverted person, always followed by a dog that is also cautious around strangers. Many dogs and their owners actually look more and more alike. Researchers even found that strangers, just from photos, can match dogs to their owners better than pure luck. This is not coincidence. Dogs are not simply living next to humans. They are slowly moving into human behavioral patterns. At first, this change was very simple. Dogs learned something almost no other animal can do, understanding human pointing gestures. When you hide food and point to the right place, most animals do not understand what you are doing. Even chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives, often fail to understand this gesture. But dogs can. Even without training, they can reliably make the correct choice. But if it was only about gestures, it still cannot explain their current abilities. Because dogs don't just watch actions anymore, they watch people. When they face a problem they cannot solve, they stop. Then they look at the human face, switching between the target and your eyes. Like a child who cannot speak. This behavior is considered an early marker of social cognition in human infants, and dogs start doing this just weeks after birth. All of this leads to something even stranger: synchronization. Many dogs gradually imitate their owners' routines, activity patterns, even their social behavior. After living together for a long time, dogs and owners begin to show increasingly similar responses in unfamiliar environments. This does not happen automatically. Wolves living with humans or dogs living in dog groups do not show the same level of synchronization, from understanding gestures to synchronization. This is a process of deeper and deeper bonding. And when this bonding continues for tens of thousands of years, its impact goes far beyond humans and dogs themselves. There is an old saying passed down in Native American tribes: "Dogs made us human." It sounds like a myth, but more and more research suggests it may be closer to reality than we think. Archaeologists found that over the past 10,000 years, humans have reached almost every corner of the Earth. When different groups of people began migrating to new continents, they often brought their dogs with them. They shared the same routes, shared the same fate. This relationship lasted so long that it started affecting both bodies. Studies show that, in order to adapt to increasingly complex social life, both human and dog brains shifted in similar directions. Regions related to aggression and fear gradually reduced. Regions related to trust and social cognition kept increasing. What's more surprising is that this shift is not just behavioral imitation. It is written into the history of migration and civilization expansion. Most animals simply live in the human world. They never truly take part in shaping humans themselves. Dogs are different. They helped build something more important than strength: cooperation. Over 30,000 years, we learned to understand each other, and that understanding eventually changed the fate of both. The dogs you see today respond to you with an almost impossible stability. But this may be the strangest part of modern civilization. We spent tens of thousands of years building a super society of 8 billion people. We connected the world but slowly lost the most basic trust between each other. We can share life with a dog, but we start to stay cautious toward our own kind. And so a quiet shift happened. Humans placed more and more trust into a cross-species relationship. When you open your door again and see that dog running toward you, maybe what you see is not just love, but a contract that has lasted for 30,000 years. If one species can learn to trust another over 30,000 years, why is it getting harder for us to trust our own kind?